type of way.
Oh,
And the reason why
shoot.
I'm saying the problem
We
why she
got
probably feels,
Popalot in here, y'all.
huh? What happened?
We got Popalot in here. Okay, go
Oh,
It's
Papa,
Mob ties.
yes.
Hey! Mob him up,
Yo,
y'all.
what up, my
And
nigga Mob? What
Universal
up?
as
What up,
I'm
well.
about
gang?
as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati, Rick in Detroit. Convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude. Strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game. Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes. Craig Pettis in the M-Town. Sal Magluta with the boat game. Falcone with the cocaine. Like Freeway Ricky with the plug game. Like Monster Cody in South Central. Larry Davis from close range.
News 10 6, the FBI arrests a man in Kiefer suspected of threatening a witness in a federal case.
Court documents say Larry Douglas Jr. is currently under investigation for drug trafficking, racketeering, and murder. One of the witnesses in the case says Douglas beat her and threatened both her and her daughter to keep her from testifying. Tulsa police say Douglas has also been under investigation for a 2014 double homicide in which his wife was one that was killed. No charges have been filed.
Tonight, Tulsa
in that
police are looking for the people they say were behind a plot that led to the murders of 2 women in November. This morning, the task force arrested the accused triggerman, Quantel Alverson. Fox 23 Sarah Whaley is reporting live with what led to his arrest. Sarah.
Police tell me they couldn't release a lot about evidence because this case is far from over. But what they did tell me, the people behind this plot didn't plan so well. And so tonight, that accused shooter is behind bars. It's a strong message.
They need to be aware that we are here and we take this stuff kind of serious.
Meant for the people, Sergeant Dave Walker says plotted to kill Amanda Douglas and Jennifer Sanders outside the Bristol Park Apartments near 41st and Garnett.
It's an interesting case to sit on this side.
Walker tells me this double murder investigation has given them an in-depth look at the minds of cold-blooded killers.
They made a lot of mistakes, and it was obvious they had a lot of time to think and plan, and they did not do a good job.
Police found evidence at the crime scene. They found the stolen car used in the killings, and they found witnesses. All of that led them to an apartment complex in North Tulsa looking for this man, Quantel Alverson. The Tulsa Police Warrant Squad followed the accused shooter for days, and when prosecutors officially filed the charges Wednesday morning, they made their move. Even though Alverson is now in jail.
The investigation is still ongoing. There's no doubt more than one person played a part in developing the information, to getting the car, to the weapons, and they know who they are, and they know that we know who they are.
You may be wondering, since police do know who those others are, why they don't just go out and arrest them. I asked Walker that same question, and he said, as of right now, they just don't have enough evidence to prove those others' involvement. Live downtown tonight, Sarah Whaley, Fox 23 News.
We're learning new information tonight.
We have new details today in Sedgwick County's latest murder investigation. Detectives now know that the body of 56-year-old Dale Childress of Tulsa was found near 69th Street North and Hillside on Sunday night. KSN's Ashley Arnold has the very latest in our continuing coverage.
Yeah, Katie, officials with the Sheriff's Office told us just within the past hour the new information on the case. They say it appears that the victim was killed where his body was found in the 3900 block of 69th Street North and not moved there after the fact. Preliminary results from the autopsy show that Childress was killed by gunshot wounds, but officials will not comment on where he was shot or how many times. Authorities have said this case is complex and that they have run into some obstacles, but residents nearby have been helpful. They've also updated the description of the car they're looking for in the case to a 2001 to 2005 Buick LeSabre 4-door model that is dark in color, possibly a dark green.
We don't know what role that car plays in the investigation. We just know it has a link in our investigation, and it's important to the overall investigation that we try to locate that car and who was operating it.
Officials are still seeking assistance in the case from the public. Now, anyone who was traveling in the area of 69th Street between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. on Sunday evening, or who may have had contact with the victim, is asked to get in contact with the sheriff's office or Crime Stoppers. Ashley Arnold, KSN News.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb. We on our way to Oklahoma with it. Tulsa, to be exact. It's our first time around here. Let's make it out safe. I was expecting cowboys. These niggas is thugs. Now, for those that know me, they know that I'm a fan of the show First 48, and there was even some cases that I brought from that show and tried to cover a little deeper. One is going to be the Jesse Dodson story. And actually, we have been to Tulsa before, by way of Houston, when we covered somebody else that was featured on the First 48, Alejandro Guzman, with that crazy case. But this one, I think this one is going to take the cake. Now, today, the guy that we're going to be covering today is going to be a guy by the name of Larry Oscar Douglas Jr. And I named him the First 48, not because he was on First 48, but a lot of the people he came into contact with ended up in First 48 situations. And on top of that, he's going to be one of the only people that we knew had something to do with it watching the First 48. But he still ended up beating it. So I'm going to take y'all through the details of that First 48 case before I get into the wild shit. So Larry Douglas was married to a female by the name of Amanda Douglas. They had been married since 2013. She was pregnant. They was in almost a toxic, tumultuous kind of relationship where she would file charges against him. The charges would end up being dropped. Even while she was pregnant, he filed a motion to have her tested for drugs. So it was a rocky relationship, to say the least. They were married in March of 2013. By 2014, she had 3 protection orders against him. However circumstance play out, she ended up moving out, and she meets a friend at work by the name of Jennifer Lynn Sudar. Now, they hit it off, and apparently somehow Amanda ends up staying with Jennifer because I think Jennifer knows what's going on in her personal life, and Jennifer is 10 years older than Amanda. So maybe she's trying to protect her, and maybe not knowing the magnitude of the situation or who she was dealing with. A lot of females and some even dudes need to take this into account, because sometimes you throw yourself in the middle of a volatile situation and that shit could end up costly, because I'm not sure of an actual time estimate of how long she was staying with Jennifer, but a year after she was married to Larry Douglas, Amanda Douglas and Jennifer Sudar was brutally shot and killed outside of Jennifer's apartment complex in November of 2014. Now, if anybody's seen that First 48 episode, they probably remember the rent office lady trying to run out, jump in front of the getaway car or whatever. But it didn't take long to play out, and authorities would end up arresting a guy by the name of Quintel Alverson for the double murder. But authorities didn't really see a motive between him and the victims, and they found possible connections between Larry Douglas and Quintel Alverson. Though Larry Douglas wasn't charged in that double homicide, he was on the police department's radar, and he knew it. And that kind of put him in eradication mode, because it was another gentleman that was a suspect also in that double homicide by the name of Dale Childress. Now, Dale Childress is important because his body was found on February 15th, 2005 with 3 gunshot wounds to his head and 1 to the back. Now, it's said that Oklahoma authorities had been looking for Dale Childress in connection with that double homicide in Tulsa. Now, at the time, assuming it's a random act, law enforcement would link a guy by the name of James Marshall to Dale Childress's death using DNA that he had left on a bottle of orange soda at the crime scene. Now, Marshall would go on to plead guilty to second-degree murder, and he would be sentenced to 16 years for killing Dale Childress. Now, a few years would pass by, and this is where it would begin to heat up for Larry Douglas, because in March of 2018, he was arrested for tampering with a witness, and the FBI had been investigating him for drug manufacturing as well as trafficking. So supposedly, a woman he had been dating alleged that he had threatened to kill her and her family if she went to the police. She stated that he used her to transport and distribute narcotics. She would also go on to say that Larry Douglas showed her a news article about Jennifer and Amanda being murdered 2 weeks after delivering Larry Douglas's child. And that, ladies and gentlemen, would essentially be the beginning of the end, because in April of 2018, a federal grand jury would go on to indict Larry Douglas on 2 counts of witness tampering. And not long after that, on May 16th of 2018, federal prosecutors later charged Larry Douglas with the drug kingpin statute and conspiracy to intimidate another federal witness. Now, the federal witness that was linked to those new charges was Dale Childress, the person that we spoke about earlier. Now, Larry Douglas in his plea agreement recounted his plans for Childress after he became concerned that he knew too much about his drug trafficking operation and had fallen behind on payments for drugs. He would go on to admit to federal authorities that he told James Marshall that Dale was fucked up and directed Marshall to take care of it. But authorities believed that he knew that Dale Childress at the time was a potential witness to that 2014 shooting death of Amanda Douglas and Jennifer Sudar. Now, in his plea with federal authorities, Douglas would admit to trafficking cocaine, cocaine base, and marijuana since about 2012. He would say he manufactured crack in Tulsa at various locations and arranged for cocaine and marijuana to be obtained in California or in Texas and shipped or transported to Tulsa. Now, U.S. District Judge Claire Egan would go on to sentence Larry Douglas, who was 45 years old at the time, to concurrent 20-year and 21-year sentences for respective guilty pleas to charges of witness intimidation and continuing a criminal enterprise, or the so-called kingpin statute. So he had a wild run. And I know the first thing that comes to a lot of people's mind is why Quintel Alverson or why Marshall didn't snitch. And I think I know why they didn't snitch. And I think you know why they didn't snitch. But I definitely need y'all in the comment box for this one. Was Oscar Douglas the most elusive person we've seen on the first 48? I forgot we also covered 21 down in Dallas. That was kind of mentioned on the first 48, but y'all get in the comment box. Matter of fact, let me know what's your favorite episode. Is there something else that we need to cover on there? And y'all know what it is with me. It's your boy Popalot. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all hit the subscribe right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. And y'all get at me in the comment box. Let me know who we need to cover, what cities we need to go to, what stories we got wrong, what stories we missed. And y'all tap in with the boy. Mobb.